What issues will be considered worthy of the people's attention as well as the trust as we count down to election in a matter of weeks from now? Now, Nigerians will be headed to the polls to vote for their preferred candidates, whatever the choices will be. Also, with the official flag off of the November 18th date, that's 2018 now, for the campaign to have kicked off. That's something great is happening within the minds of politicians, and they're looking forward to meeting with you. Well, the campaign trains roaring the tracks, drums rolled out, politicians trotting the length and breadth of the nation, seeking whatever means to actually get your support. What are the issue-based, or what will the messages be from them? Or what are the messages that you've been hearing, at least for those that have started? Well, are the campaign's issue shifting from the hateful speeches to issue-based? Those are some of the questions we'll be seeking answers to with my guests as we beam the searchlights on issues in electioneering campaign. My name is Blessing Abu. Welcome to Nigeria Today. Yes, with me in the studio. Yes, they are quite happy that the moment is here. How do I know? We called out to them and they were ready to come talk with us on the program. I'd like to welcome Dr. Mukhtar Imam, who's a lecturer with the Department of International Relations and Diplomacy with the Base University here in Abuja. Welcome to the program, Dr.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, my darling namesake. We were here to find out she's my namesake. Cynthia Babalu is executive project director, beg your pardon, Yaga Africa. Watching the vote, we're glad. The moment to watch the vote is finally here.
Oh yes, and we can't wait.
We can't wait, certainly. Now, I thrilled the 18th, Sunday the 18th November, actually kick-started what we could do. Yes. And for so many, they are actually observing what exactly is going on. Your assessments of how the campaigns have kicked off so far, what do you make of what is happening on the scene? Cynthia, let's start with you.
I think it's been quite interesting. One is the large number of parties that we have based on the data from INEC. We have for the presidential elections alone, we have 78 parties that will be fielding candidates. We have about 79 parties fielding for the Senate. And we have about 84 for the House of Representatives. So you see the number of parties alone that would be contesting. It means this time we're going to really have heated contests and all. But beyond that is what exactly are we seeing at the state levels. Interestingly, watching the vote, we have long-term observers deployed in every local government across the country, and we've been observing the pre-elections environment. And one of the things we've seen is that while we have a large number of parties with fielding candidates, we don't have most of these parties are not really nationally based. So the campaigns is a bit limited to 2, 3, 4 parties in the campaigns. In fact, from our findings, we have about 5 parties that are really pushing their campaigns across the states and the local governments also. And then we start seeing parties now start focusing on regional campaigns. So for instance, our reports in the past two reports consistently have shown like you have the APC PDP, there's a lot of focus in the south geopolitical zone, which is interesting, and in the northeast also. Let's focus in the southwest. For the ADC and for the SDP, you see a lot of focus in the north central and in the northeast. So you can see in the southwest, so you see that you can see parties are also strategizing in the way they engage. But one of the things that we found a bit worrisome was in the trend of hate speech and verbal attacks during campaigns, on social media platforms, and even on traditional medias, TV, radios, and all. When you have candidates engaging, and I think that is a trend we feel threatens the credibility of the process and even peaceful conduct of the elections. Because the moment you start deviating from issues, what you start doing is the politics of division increases, and that reduces the quality of participation from candidates. And also the trend of the PVC buying and selling, which is a bit shocking. Our reports have shown that some PVCs are bought for as high as 10 to 20,000 naira in some of the states. And now it's not just parties going to look for where to buy. Some voters are also looking for who to sell their PVCs to. so it's a bit worrisome. Like, why would you get your PVC only to just go sell it? Okay. And then why do you also go to some
buy
of
those things that you have found out? Let's get Dr. Mukhtar Imam's viewpoints. The campaigns have started, no doubt. For some, it's a departure from what it used to be, or for some, it's actually growing in what it used to be. What's your assessment?
Well, I think both views are prevalent. It's very glaring. We see them happening. A departure from what's in the past. Of course, that view is very prevalent in the circle. And then, of course, an increase in what we have known, business as usual. It's also very prevalent. The reality is that expectations are relative. Okay. We cannot have a uniform expectation. There is no straitjacket approach to that. People have varying views. People have varying opinions and expectations and all of that within whatever circle, particularly as it has to do with issues within the social sciences, especially things as sensitive as elections. It is very natural, particularly given the fact that we live in a climate, or we are a people in a climate that is heterogeneous. The divergent ethnic nationalities, the different languages and the different ethnic leanings and all of that naturally play a significant role in every election. It is very normal. From the days of Plato, those early philosophers, they've talked about how elections, or rather democracy, will thrive more in climes that are homogeneous. Okay. Yes, these things can be assessed differently depending on how individuals entrench the values of democracy and electioneering. As far as our climb is concerned, the political culture, or if you like, the political socialization, has over time, from time immemorial, this is not something that has a time frame for where it started. We've seen decades of decay in how political parties are formed in this climate. It's been there from the First Republic political parties up till today. We find what you find within the fold of these political parties is that they have a leaning towards region. Political parties are formed based on regional identities and all of that. And significantly, it has transcended time. We still see it playing out even in the formation of political parties today. Like she mentioned, of course, party men have been trying to shift goalposts. 2018 has been a very interesting year of changing alliance and goalposts shifting and all of that. But then overall, I feel we're getting there. We're advancing gradually. Again, like I have said, the political climate is beginning to see a lot of change, tremendous change in individual political culture and, of course, the political socialization of average Nigerians. But then again, there are still those elements of drawback syndromes that are still playing out within our political space. One of the things that basically informs our political socialization, or the agents of political socialization in our climate, sadly and unfortunately, by the way, it's an unfortunate reality, is the fact that what galvanizes the thought of an average Nigerian is ethnically driven, is religiously driven, is, you know, these factors still play out within the political space. And so basically it becomes a lot difficult for us to deviate outrightly from politics of religion, politics of ethnicity. You know, people still go to vote ethnically. These are the things that galvanizes their thoughts. This is basically what practically plays out with average Nigerians.
Okay, why not removing from that fact you've just stated now? Of course, political parties are formed for whatever the reasons they are formed, and the people have come up from all over the country to actually, okay, I'm aligning with party A, I'm aligning with party B. But then there are the individuals, the personalities now as candidates or flag bearers of such parties versus what the parties themselves are promising. Let's get into that particular space now. How have Nigerians been reacting, or are they prepared? Or what do you see them doing? Are they voting for the personality now, or the parties themselves having their promises? Because these are some of the places that we're going to be meeting them as they come out. This is the manifesto. But some people would do that outrightly based on whoever the personality, not minding whatever party the party. How have they fared in that?
Yeah, no doubt about that. That has basically been a very significant issue as far as our political space is concerned. Over time, what we have seen is that, like I said in the beginning, our political culture is beginning to change. We're beginning to see an advancement. However slow, however, was staggering. We're getting there gradually. Democracy, by the way, is alien to us. So we're basically trying to, of course, it's the truth. It's the truth. We don't know democracy. That's why you hear the likes of Ali Mazrui of blessed memory tell you about communocracy. That's a struggle between traditionalism and modern democracy.
So we're having a mix of that.
Yes, we're still there. You hear things from people like Yoweri Museveni, who tells you it is only a fool that will leave the office through the ballot. How else do you want to leave the office? You know, so these are where the crises are. But then away from that, the political culture, like I was trying to say, is basically changing. We're seeing tremendous change to the positive direction. But however, one thing that is lacking is this, that because of those factors I mentioned that are agents that shape the socialization of people politically, it becomes a bit difficult for people to have issue-based politics. It becomes also a bit difficult for the followership to task those who they hope to or aspire to elect to offices, elective offices.
To tax them on such
This is where the problem comes. Yes, the reality is this: you have political parties coming up with promises, so to speak. They do not have clear-cut ideologies. This is the point I'm trying to make. These political parties are not driven by principles. They're not driven by manifestos. No, it doesn't happen. By and large, what you find in real politics is that people go to the poll to vote, like I said earlier, religiously and ethnically. But then again, the individuals that aspire to positions of authority, particularly at the presidential level, have been making significant impact as far as this election is concerned.
All right, let's get Cynthia, let's take it up from there. I know people will do whatever they have chosen or they have thought they will still do, despite whatever it is we're talking about now. But we need to change. We need to make a move as far as we're concerned, whether we're having communitocracy, like you said, or whatever the mix we're trying to practice. People need a change, and that change, that change borders on what we're able to offer to the followers of this great nation. So where should we begin to have them speak for us, stand for us, based on not just empty promises? These are things that people need, services, holding them accountable. How should the people respond to that this time around?
Well, I think one, we can't expect a total change in 2019 because it's a gradual process. Now, ours is a nascent democracy and it's still growing, and we may never be able to practice democracy like different parts of the clan, because at the end, Nigeria is a unique country, and no matter how we try to follow through theories, there are certain things that would remain peculiar, and those are the things that drive conversations. Now, for 2019, I think the discourse is changing. Now, let's look at the recent off-cycle elections. We're continually seeing very keen contest. So if you look at the margin of leads between the winning party and the second leading party, you'd always see it's really it's becoming quite close and a very tight contest. Now, what does that show? It shows that regardless of how parties are formed, we're beginning to have an increase in the level of engagement of citizens in actually demanding what they want. And while we may not be able to put it down, we may not clearly say, oh, this is issue-based totally, but what we're seeing is that people are beginning to ask simple questions like, oh, you've been in office, what have you done so far? Or we've not had salaries paid for the past how many months in our state, why do you need to get back into office? Or your promises for the past 4 years were this, but you did not actualize that or achieve that. Now, but beyond that, let's also look at the increase in number of candidates that we're having. This is one of the elections that would be keenly contested, not just because we're going to have the APC and the PDP, they are the top leading parties, and this time is not between, we don't have the religious, not between Christian, Muslim, like you know. So this time we're having two top candidates from almost the same region of the country, maybe not exactly the same geopolitical zones, the same faith, and with running mates that are from the southwest and the southeast. So there's more questions being asked, but beyond that is also that the conversations coming in from the newer blood in politics, the younger candidates running for office, the women running for office. So it's sort of like enriching the conversation, and it is tilting the attitudes of the PDP and the APC okay, let's change the way we're engaging now, because if people start asking critical questions, we need to be able to provide answers to that. So while you still have the trend of, oh, we need to push put in money, we need to buy votes, we need to influence or manipulate the process. There's also that consciousness that the way you manipulated the process in the past may not be easily done this time around. But beyond that is also the fact that if you look at the trend in voter registration this time around, in the CVR process, we had that increase in interest of people to get registered. There's a lot of campaign going on, go get your PVCs. And interestingly, about out of the 80-something million persons registered, we just have about 12.12 million PVCs yet to be collected. Now, it doesn't mean that large collection of PVC will translate to large turnout of voters, but this is a step, because the more you engage people and tell them need to get their PVC and engage, the better the chances of having higher turnout of more education, and then even the engagement with the parties. I think most times media, the role the media plays in getting in driving the agenda for elections is very critical. And most times, if the conversation is not tilted to focus on the issues beyond just what you want to do, but how you want to achieve that, you wouldn't have the candidates providing or the parties providing such answers.
Okay, Cynthia, and also Dr. Imam will be coming back to look on some of these issues deeply after this break, because earlier on, Dr. Imam said something about homogeneity versus, anyway, that was how I noted that down. The homogeneous nature versus the heterogeneous nature. This is not the only nation that we're heterogeneous in culture. So how the other climes have been able to do that, all we'll be finding out after the break. You're watching Nigeria Today, and our focus is on issue-based electioneering in the campaigns for 2019 election. Of course, 2019 is here already. So we'll be right back after the break.
The Nigerian Television Authority News 24 channel, your dependable all-round news station, offering you world-class news programs, documentaries, spotlights, promos and information highlights. Take advantage of our network reach and advertise your interest, goods and services with us. NTA News 24, first among equals with digital broadcasting. You can reach us on channel 21 terrestrial TV and channel 101 on the Star Times platform. For more inquiries, please call Henry on 0803 379 0884. Join us today.
Welcome back. If you just tuned in, the program is Nigeria Today, and we're taking a look at issues in electioneering campaign. I see I have my guest seated, Dr. Mukhtar Imam, lecturer, Department of International Relations and Diplomacy, so seated. I also have Cynthia Mbamalu, Yaga Africa, is watching the vote. Now, talking about what issues are really when we come to election campaigns such as we have in now. It's a circle. Every 4 years we try to go meet the electorate. This is what we want to do for you. What exactly should constitute, or what are issue-based campaigns when we're set to do that?
Well, to take us back a bit, political parties are created for distinct reasons. Part of the reasons why political parties are created is to first and foremost organize people, and then when that is done, to be able to sell their ideas to these people, based whether it's the ideology of the individual who's contesting or the platform that is presenting that individual to contest, and then again, of course, to be able to wrestle power, which is about power grab, and then win elections and all of that. Excuse me. The one thing that is glaring in all of this conversation, in all of the picture, is the fact that parties are naturally supposed to have manifestos. They're supposed to be ideologically rooted. They should have value system. This is what distinguishes most political parties in other climes from ours. The ideas, I mean, when we talk about issue-based discussions, whether it is within the political space or outside of it, variables must be brought forth. You must have rulers or parameters that says these are the things that we have, basic keynote words or areas or sectors, however you look at them, that people should say, this is what I am coming to address. The Green political party, when it comes up, it tells you it's an environmentalist political party. This is what it stands for, climate change and all of that. Now, we need to, revolving around this, be able to task those who aspire to public offices, what are the things you're coming on board for? What exactly do you hope to do? Away from the fact that your party is a conservative or a liberal or whatever political party, what are the things that have far-reaching impact on the life of average Nigerians? These are some of the things that should be talked about. Service delivery, for example, infrastructural development, for example. We have a deficit. We've talked about major deficits that the world faces, and we're not strange to these deficits. There's a deficit in governance, there's a deficit in development, there's a deficit in peace. What are the things that these individuals hope to do to be able to put in place some of this, to be able to minimize or mitigate these deficits to better the lives of the ordinary Nigerians? These are some of the issues that should be brought forth so that individuals can hold leaders accountable at the end of the day. You promised you were going to do this. How far have you fared in achieving that goal? This is very important. Now, while we talk about this, there's also the need for voter education. I think political parties are responsible partly for educating the electorate. It's not just the responsibility of INEC. We can't just let INEC shoulder that responsibility alone. And neither should we let the mass media. Yes, it's a huge agent of socialization, but then it's also hugely responsibility of political parties. You go to other climes, you find that it's a year-round activity. When the Democrats win election or not, they have people on ground who are educating the electorate on voter registration, on things. Yes, it shouldn't just stop. Education is very key. Education is about being aware. It's not just about grabbing paper certificates and all of that. Creating consciousness in the people. Okay. And again, of course, the reality is we have been able to pull through one of the freest and fairest elections conducted in the history of the world. In 2015, we did that at a time when the US was battling with accepting or rejecting an election result. So I think going further, we'll be able to achieve a lot.
All right, Cynthia, let's take a look at what issues should be considered or are worthy of consideration now that the electorates are ready too. Everyone seems to be ready.
Yeah, I think I would like to start from the point of the role of the political parties, because I think that is one role the parties have neglected for over a period of time. One, if parties have in fact the sole responsibility to educate voters, because they are the major contestants and they are the ones that actually need the votes of voters. But we see that lacking at the moment. And voter education is beyond just how to vote or where to vote, but what your plans are, how voters should appreciate your manifesto or what promises you have. So let's take, for instance, the issues of unemployment. You see, every party is saying, oh, unemployment would create jobs. But the thing is, if you start educating and say, oh, in the third quarter, for instance, about 23.something% of the population are currently unemployed. But this is how I want to address it. In the time I'll be in office, I would reduce it to maybe 10% or 8%. And these are the steps I intend to take to do that. Now, those are the kinds of issues we need to see. That you're giving us data to show us this is where we are currently, and this is how I intend to achieve whatever goals or promises I have made to you, in either addressing this issue or bringing something totally different to make the system work. So that is one. Insecurity is a major issue. Now, every day we have lives lost in Nigeria. Now, and it's beyond just the federal government. I think one of the things we fail to do as a people is, one of the things we are used to doing is focus so much on presidential elections. We forget that we have about 469 seats that people are going to run contests for in the National Assembly, 991 seats in the state assemblies, and then the state governorship elections. And for Federal Capital Territory, we have the Abuja Area Council elections. Now, each of these tier of government, they have major roles to play in every sector, in every issue that borders us. But the thing is, we focus so much on the president and the issues. We keep saying issue-based campaign, but only for what does the presidential candidate have, not what do these other what do they have for us. So that is one. And insecurity, beyond just the focus on the national, the presidential candidates, but even the roles at the state levels also. What security architecture do you want to bring? What is different? What difference do you intend to make? And how do we reduce the loss of lives and property? Then poverty, the economy. We have a huge challenge in the economy, whether we like it or not. It looks, I know reports keep showing that, oh, the economy is getting better. I was reading the presentation by the Minister of Budget and Planning on the 2019 appropriation, the 2019 appropriation bill, and giving the successes of the 2018 budget so far and how far it has been implemented. And if you read it on paper, you say, oh, Nigeria is doing fantastic. But when you go into the streets, it's not the reality. So these are some of the things we need to start engaging on. The economy. What plans do we want to see? How are these parties going to address these issues when they win the elections? And not just for the presidential, but at every level. What is that goal? What is that plan you have for the people?
Thank you very much, Cynthia. I would have loved to go on with the next one, but I'm told this is where we're going to draw the line. Just a quick comment from Dr. Imam. When we were going the other way, you know, the way people will still come, like you said, it's still about anyway, once people climb touch from our platform actually to talk to the people, they should forget. They should not forget that it's still one nation, despite our different background. What will be your message for now, as they still move around the country? Yes, we've talked about the issue base. What does that other kind of messages they keep reeling out do to the nation?
Well, the reality is it has a domino effect, whether we like it or not. You make empty promises. At the end of the day, what it does is that it shapes people's mindsets to a certain direction. And so there's loss of confidence in governance. A lot of people have no confidence in government anymore. They tell you it's the same rhetoric that we will find. But beyond that, to sum it all up, in the words of Chairman Mao of China, he said, and I quote, that all reactionaries, and when he says reactionaries, he's referring to leaders, he says all reactionaries are paper tigers. And that from a long-term perspective, the real power belongs to the people. So I think Nigerians need to wake up and understand what powers they have. And so long as I mean, as far as we do not take advantage of that power, then we're going to remain where we are.
No, and we don't want to remain where we are. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukhtar Imam, Lecturer, Department of International Relations and Diplomacy, Base University. Thank you for coming to Nigeria today.
Thank you.
Also, Cynthia Mbamalo, watching the vote, Yaga Africa, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Yes,
and we'll look forward to having you soon again on any of this our platform to look at election 2019. And also Dr. Imam as well. Thank you for watching. We appreciate your time too. Tomorrow is another time to join us on Nigeria Today. That will be 7:30 in the evening. You can actually watch this edition or any other edition online at youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hours. My name is Blessing Abu. Enjoy the rest of today.